Hey guys, as you can see, I got these new shelves put in by Matt, and I just put all my new Blu-rays on it. But before I did that, I wanted to give you guys like a full showing of what my collection is before I put them on this rack, just to show you all the movies I have. I talked about them and everything. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up before we jump right into the video. If you like this video, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. You know, any movies in the collection that you see and you want to talk, please comment in the comment section below, and I'll discuss them in another video, or we could just chat about them. So guys, enjoy the video. Thank you very much. So sorry about the mess, guys. Like I said, I'm putting this all back together, but I want to just show you guys all my movies. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start how I like to do it. I like to organize my movies not in alphabetical order. I just kind of do it like a random way in my mind that like organically makes sense to me. So I like to keep like certain directors together or certain series together, and then all the randoms I like to just throw on at the end. So always what I start with, no matter what Blu-ray racks I have, I start with the Star Wars movies. So originally I had these Blu-rays for 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. But then I've upgraded to the most recent 4Ks that came out a few years ago. Again, I don't have numbers 1 and 2, because I'm not a big fan of 1 and 2, so I don't really see the need to upgrade to 4K for them, but I have the other ones. I have 4, 5, 6, The Force Awakens, Rogue One, which you'll see right here. I have Rogue One on 4K. I have The Last Jedi on 4K. I know, touchy. I have the regular Rogue One Blu-ray, and then I have this Force Awakens Steelbook. This is not a 4K, I upgraded to the 4K. So that's always where I like to start, is with Star Wars. And then I like to move on to my favorite director of all time, like I've told you guys, is Quentin Tarantino. So he always gets a top shelf placing for me, and then I place them in the release order. So I always go Reservoir Dogs, 1992, Pulp Fiction, 1994, Jackie Brown, 1997, Kill Bill, 1 and 2, 2003 and 2004, Death Proof, 2007. Inglourious Bastards, 2009. Django Unchained, 2011. The Hateful Eight, 2016. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2019, if I'm correct. Great movie, by the way, if you haven't seen this. 2019's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Some great performances in there. So I always like to go down the line with that. And then what I do is I jump to my second favorite director of all time. I do this on every single Blu-ray rack I've ever had. I go right to Martin Scorsese. And I go Raging Bull, King of Comedy, Goodfellas, Casino, the Casino 4K. We've got a review on the channel for this. Gangs of New York. Not a huge fan of this, but you know what? I know it's a lot of people's favorite, so definitely still good. The Aviator, Leo. The Departed, Leo and Matt Damon, great movie. Definitely check this one out if you haven't seen it. Jack Nicholson's awesome, just playing Jack Nicholson. Shutter Island. There is a 4K of this. I don't have it. I heard it wasn't great. That's why I haven't upgraded, but great movie. The Wolf of Wall Street also has a 4K that I haven't checked out yet, but another great movie. And then Cape Fear. And that's usually my top shelf. Now we're going to jump right into the Criterion collection. I always start at the beginning. I always use Wes Anderson's movies. So you got Rushmore, The Royal Tenenbaums, The Life Aquatic, very underrated Wes Anderson movie. The Fantastic Mr. Fox, I think an overrated Wes Anderson movie in my opinion. Moonrise Kingdom, very good. Box art is cool, definitely good Criterion. And then obviously the Grand Budapest Hotel is a very famous movie that came out a few years ago, got an Oscar nom. I love this movie. I actually have the Blu-ray of it too. You'll see it sometime in there. And those are the Wes Anderson Criterion collections. And then I also have just a ton of Criterion. So I got the Before trilogy. This is a beautiful box. I love this one. Definitely great. Has all 3 movies in there. Color-coded, you know, so it's always good. Ethan Hawke is amazing in this. If you haven't seen the Before trilogy, it's usually a little expensive, but look for a 50% Criterion sale. This is definitely something you should have in your collection if you're a fan. Then you get The Fisher King. Blowout, a great John Travolta movie from the early 80s. I would say definitely check that one out. Same director as Scarface and The Untouchables. I'm sure you've heard of him. Brian De Palma did this, so a great movie. Blowout is awesome. The Piano, you guys saw my review of that. It's a 4K. Miller's Crossing, you guys have seen the review of that on this channel. Bull Durham, not many people's favorite Criterion. There's a lot of negative reviews on this. I think it's still good. I mean, I don't have a Blu-ray to compare it to. This is my most recent Criterion Collection edition, the Thin Blue Line. There will be a review on this channel, so I won't go too far into it. Same thing, Citizen Kane. I got the 4K. I will do a full review of this on this channel, so definitely keep a lookout for that. Menace to Society. Great 4K, by the way. A deep cover. This is a great, great underrated movie. Jeff Goldblum, Lawrence Fishburne. Lawrence Fishburne is my most underrated actor ever. I'll eventually go fully into why. I just love Lawrence Fishburne. I think he should have been way more famous than he was. And if you're saying, oh, but he is famous, should have been bigger. This guy is a gem. Solaris. So I only watched this movie once. I have to definitely watch it again. It was a very slow burn, but a very good movie. I have to definitely watch this a second time. Defending Your Life. I love Defending Your Life. Now, this is a great movie from the early 90s as well. So this is written and directed and starring Albert Brooks. Albert Brooks is another one of our gems. You definitely should check this out. A very funny movie. Meryl Streep is in it. Rip Torn has a great performance in it. Really a good movie. Philosophical. I love it. I'm a sucker for it. Crash. Now, this is a crazy movie. David Cronenberg. I did not know what I was getting into with this, and it's a good movie. I don't love it. Really killed the Ninja Turtles for me. You'll know why if you've seen it. Paris, Texas. A very sneaky good movie. I would always go on the Criterion site, see this, never understood why. Harry Dean Stanton kills in this movie. It's actually one of my favorite movies ever, bar none. Has probably one of my favorite scenes with the two-sided glass in there. If you've seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. I'll eventually do a full review of this too because I love Paris, Texas. Repo Man. This is a great box. Movie was wasn't what I was expecting, but I still really enjoyed it. Repo Man is great. Thief, Michael Mann. I love Thief. This is an early Michael Mann movie. Definitely check this one out. I love Thief. Definitely a good one. Marriage Story. This is one of those Netflix to Criterion things like Roma and The Irishman. Out of those three, Marriage Story is my favorite. I love Marriage Story. The Big Chill, another early 80s movie with a lot of great actors. William Hurt is in this. He just passed away. Rest in peace. So if you only know him from the MCU, check out The Big Chill. He's great in this. Mulholland Drive, David Lynch. If you're a big Twin Peaks fan, I'm telling you, Mulholland Drive is a classic. I'm sure you've heard of it. Naomi Watts, Before the Ring. 12 Angry Men, an all-time classic from the 50s. Probably one of our most famous movies ever. It's been adapted many times into many plays. But this is the all-time classic right here. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's just so good. It's a great Criterion, by the way. Amazing black and white. And then The Silence of the Lambs. I do have a Blu-ray of this. I know there was a 4K release. I don't have that, but I do have the Criterion Collection Silence of the Lambs. Another great catch, great movie. Best Picture winner, amazing movie. The Player. This was actually my first Criterion movie. I got this before I really even knew about Criterion. I just wanted The Player on Blu-ray, and this was the only option I have, and look what it opened up. And then finally, another William Hurt movie, but also Holly Hunter is amazing, and this is Broadcast News. Great movie from the 80s, directed by James L. Brooks, who won a Best Picture for Terms of Endearment, which you'll see in my collection, and also Jack Nicholson in a very small role in this, but kills it. Love it. So those are my Criterion movies. Alright, now jumping into Batman. So we got the original four, the two Tim Burtons and the two Joel Schumachers. I have them in this set, but I do have the 4K upgrades of Batman and Batman Returns. Those are great. Batman Mask of the Phantasm. The Dark Knight trilogy, I have the Blu-rays and the 4Ks. And then also, guys, I just want to show you real quick, I got the Batman the Animated Series. I got these are DVDs though. Great though, great DVDs. I mean, Matt has the Blu-ray set, so understandable if you don't want that. And then, guys, I want to jump right into the Terminator. So this is a great set. It only goes up to Terminator Salvation, but if you remember the Extreme DVD, this is a very similar metal finish, so I really do love this. This is actually my first Blu-ray set. Actually, I think it's my first Blu-ray in general. And then we got the Terminator. I spent extra money just to have a slipcover, even though I own it. It's the same scan, I believe, but somebody told me it's not. I gotta look into that. Terminator 2, one of the worst 4K scans ever, but I had to have this Steelbook. I love this Steelbook. It's amazing. Even if the scan is bad, it's beautiful. I definitely had to have that. If you don't have it, check it out. Terminator Dark Fate. That's a good one. Check that out if you haven't seen that yet. And then I got my Blade Runner. So I have the Blu-ray, the 4K, and Blade Runner 2049. Now these two 4Ks are reference quality. If you're trying to put your system to work, check these two out. You won't be let down. Mission Impossibles. So you get Mission Impossible 1, Mission Impossible 3, great Philip Seymour Hoffman performance in there. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, this one is my favorite. All of these have the same box art, I love that. Mission Impossible 5, Rogue Nation. Christian McQuarrie's great version of this. And then you also get Mission Impossible Fallout. I wish this would have had similar box art to this, but I get that. And you're wondering why I don't have Mission Impossible 2? That is because I hate Mission Impossible 2, if I'm being honest. It is just the outlier in that whole series. I don't have it. Alright guys, now we'll jump into some Blu-ray doubles, because I have the Blu-ray and then I had to upgrade to the 4K, so we got Arrival by Denis Villeneuve. Paul Verhoeven's Total Recall, starring my boy Arnold. Boys in the Hood, I wish they would have had different box art, but whatever, good 4K. Forrest Gump. Life is a box of chocolates, but I had to have 2 of these boxes because I'm insane. But good 4K. Really, no one talks about this 4K. It's really good. Apollo 13, another Tom Hanks movie from 1995. This is a good one, directed by Ron Howard. Great cast. Check this one out if you haven't seen it. I'm going to eventually be doing a 4K review of this, but I do have the Blu-ray also that came out many years ago. There is a Criterion, but I don't have it. I just have the 4K and the Blu-ray. Donnie Darko. So this Blu-ray is pretty cheap. I bought it years ago. Still pretty good, but compared to this Arrow Video 4K, this is actually one of my favorite releases that they've done. It's got a book in here. It's got a great 4K. One of those hard steel, like hard plastic covers. Really just a good 4K if you don't have it. If you're a fan of Donnie Darko, grab this. I'm telling you, you won't be let down. So I have RoboCop, and then I had to buy the Arrow Video Steelbook of RoboCop, and there was an Arrow Video 4K. I believe it's the same scan on here. I have a pre-order of that coming, and I will be doing a review of that as well. So I have the Matrix trilogy on Blu-ray, and then I only have the Matrix on 4K because I think the Matrix is the only one that's really worth watching. I don't have Resurrections. I haven't reviewed it yet. I don't really want to see that again, if I'm being 100% honest with you guys. My favorite Steven Spielberg movie, E.T. Still holds up. I used to have the Blu-ray, pretty decent Blu-ray. Great 4K, really good. It doesn't contain that early 2000 special edition when they took the shotguns away from the cops. If you don't believe me, look that up. Beverly Hills Cop. Big Eddie Murphy fan. I love this movie. And Beverly Hills Cop, I know a lot of people have different opinions on what their favorite Eddie Murphy movie. Beverly Hills Cop is my favorite Eddie Murphy movie, bar none. The Professional, I reviewed this on the channel, but here's the Blu-ray and here's the 4K. I always appreciate when you get different box art for the 2 of them. Scarface, directed by Brian De Palma, is a great movie and stars Al Pacino, but I have the Blu-ray Steelbook, which is one of my favorite Steelbooks. It's a shame because I'll never watch it again because I have the Gold Edition 4K that came out a couple years ago, and what can I say? It's a great 4K, so unfortunately, as much as I like the Blu-ray box and the Steelbook, I can't recommend it anymore because of this. Gattaca. Gattaca has a 4K and a Blu-ray. I love them both, but the Gattaca 4K Steelbook, obviously better option. Great movie, by the way. Ethan Hawke, Uma Thurman, their daughter, believe it or not, is Maya Hawke on Stranger Things, if you didn't know that, so it's a little fun fact for you. One of my favorite movies ever, Philadelphia, starring Tom Hanks. So look at that Tom Hanks run. I just showed you I had the Blu-rays and 4Ks for Forrest Gump, Apollo 13, and now Philadelphia. 93 for this, 94 for Forrest Gump, and 95 for Apollo 13. And Toy Story also 95. Speed, one of my favorite 90s movies, my favorite Keanu movie probably ever, just because when I was a kid, I burned the hell out of my VHS copy of Speed. My mother even bought me Speed 2, and I've seen that a disgusting amount of times because I had the VHS. And then The Shawshank Redemption. I actually have this Blu-ray and the 4K. I haven't watched the 4K yet, even though I've had it for quite a while. And then these are my Stanley Kubrick movies. I have Full Metal Jacket. This is a very good 4K. 2001: A Space Odyssey. I hear the 4K is one of the best ever. I don't own it because I don't really go back to this that much. A Clockwork Orange. I have its Blu-ray. And then last year's 4K Steelbook of it. This is another one where I haven't watched it yet, but I had to have the Steelbook, and it's a beautiful looking Steelbook too. So I only have, as far as Mad Max movies go, I have Mad Max The Road Warrior and Mad Max Fury Road, and that's because I'm not a big fan. I do own Mad Max digitally, which I know is a sin for me, but I do own it because it was like $3, and again, just not a big fan of the whole series. Thunderdome is okay, but these are the only 2 that I own of it. Bad Boys, I got 1 and 2 on Blu-ray. I don't have the 4K, but I do have the 4K for most recently's Bad Boys for Life. This is a great movie, by the way, if you haven't checked it out. It's one of the last movies to come out before, you know, the whole world got shut down. Then another one of my favorite directors of all time. I know everybody fanboys over him, and maybe I'm sick too because I'll do the same, but hey, I'm a huge fan of Christopher Nolan, and then we'll start off with Memento. This is a good steelbook, very matte finish, but Memento is like kind of got like a plastic stickery over it. This is a great steelbook. It actually sells for a lot now, but I love this steelbook. My wife got this for me for a Christmas present. It's one of my favorite Christmas presents ever because I love Memento. The Prestige from 2006. This is a good one. I bought this on 4K. I spent money to have it shipped here. If you see, it's got the British logo, even though I live in America. And now they're coming out with a Blu-ray 4K steelbook from Best Buy, so that's usually how my love goes. Inception, one of my favorite movies ever, and I have the 4K of it as well. And I did the same thing with Interstellar. I actually think Interstellar is my favorite Nolan movie, and I have the 4K and the Blu-ray as well. Tenet is a great movie. It's a great steelbook. I talked about in the Dark Knight Rises video. This is a very, as far as sound goes, amazing, but hard to hear the dialogue. That's a Christopher Nolan thing that's been going on, but great movie either way. I can definitely recommend that you definitely check this one out. Alright, diving back in, we got some of my James Bond collections. My favorite, GoldenEye. I grew up in the 90s, so, you know, Nintendo 64's GoldenEye is a huge game for me, and then GoldenEye the movie is a great movie. It's my favorite James Bond. Then you get Timothy Dalton. He is my favorite James Bond, I think. Maybe him or Daniel Craig, but I really love him, and he only had 2 movies, and it's a real shame because they got that 80s flair, and I'm just a huge fan of it. I really wish that he would have got more, but I understand, and we would have got GoldenEye, so what am I complaining about? Sean Connery, I only have the first few movies, I believe up to From Russia with Love, because I'm not a big fan. You'll notice I have no Roger Moore movies. Sorry, just don't like his movies. Got the Daniel Craig Blu-ray collection on the steelbook. This is one of my favorite steelbooks. It's only the Blu-rays. It's not the 4Ks. I mean, if you can, you know, get the 4Ks now, like I think they come in the same box, but this only went up. This didn't include Spectre, so I actually went out and had to buy the Spectre Blu-ray. But it does include Skyfall, and I did have to upgrade the 4K because that is actually my second favorite James Bond movie. I love Skyfall. The 4K is not the greatest, though. I'm going to be completely honest. If you have the Blu-rays, you don't have to upgrade, but you know, some people feel the need, and I did because I'm a sicko. But definitely, Skyfall is amazing. Alright, so we're going to go into a little bit of superhero movies right now. You got Blade 4K. Good 4K, by the way. The Suicide Squad 4K. I actually haven't watched this yet. It was a Christmas gift. Shazam. Very good DC movie. Looking forward to the sequel. Aquaman. Also, very good DC movie. No one talks about it. They say it's like, I've heard some really bad reviews. I loved it. I don't know what the hell. Man of Steel, other than the entire last hour, great movie. Far From Home. I haven't watched this yet. Great, the 4K, I have seen the movie. Avengers Endgame 4K, Steelbook, great. What do I have to say? Everyone knows how good this is. And then I have Infinity War on 4K. I don't have the Steelbook, they were actually out. Avengers, Age of Ultron Blu-ray. Black Panther, 4K Steelbook. This is a good one. I love this one. You know, not a lot of people talk about this movie, but this is a really, really, really good. I love Captain Marvel. Yeah, I love Captain Marvel. Brie Larson is great. If you've never seen Room, where she won an Academy Award, check that one out. Definitely really, really good. Thor Ragnarok. I'm telling you right now, my favorite MCU movie ever. Taika Waititi definitely killed it, and this is Chris Hemsworth's best performance, I think, in any movie ever. Ant-Man, great movie, one of my wife's favorites. Spider-Man Far From Home, this is the 4K of that. I don't have the Steelbook, but this is a really good one as well. Michael Keaton in that. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. I only have the Blu-ray, I never upgraded them. Disney doesn't make the best 4Ks, but some are good. I think Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is good, so that's why I have that one. Captain America Civil War, this is a great movie. I don't need to really say too much about that. Captain America The Winter Soldier, this is a lot of people's favorite. This is still really good for me too. Captain America, The First Avenger, this is a good one. Very underrated Joe Johnson movie. And then I got the Iron Man Blu-ray collection. I would actually like to upgrade this. It's pretty bare bones. Eventually I'll get to it. This brings me to my X-Men collection. So I have these from many years ago. A friend of mine passed away, but she did leave this for me. So this is actually X-Men Trilogy. I love that. X-Men First Class, I have the Blu-ray. For Days of Future Past, I have the Blu-ray upgrade of the 4K because it is probably my favorite of the X-Men movies, except for the first X-Men. I would love a 4K of the original X-Men from 2000. X-Men Apocalypse, not a great movie. Awesome steelbook though. Also not a 4K. Logan, what do I gotta say about Logan? Amazing 4K, amazing movie. If you ever seen Shane, very inspired this movie a lot, but just a great movie. It's probably the best X-Men movie. It's a lot of people's favorite. I have the Wolverine and X-Men Origins Wolverine. We know what happened there. But we wouldn't have got Deadpool and Deadpool 2. These are some of my favorite movies as far as superhero movies ever. I am a huge fan of Ryan Reynolds. I'm a huge fan of what he did with Deadpool. I love these movies. These are kind of my sense of humor, so these movies are perfect. If you don't have them, I would love the Steelbook 4K of this, but they don't really have the 4K Steelbook anymore, and I would just love a 4K. I'll probably get to it eventually. So this brings me to Tony Scott. Tony Scott is one of my favorite directors. A lot of people know Ridley Scott, but I always like to champion Tony Scott. And the reason being is simple. True Romance. I love True Romance. This is a movie that's written by Quentin Tarantino, directed by Tony Scott, so it's a movie that was like kind of tailor-made for me. Christian Slater is awesome in this movie. I love this movie. Look out for James Gandolfini in a very violent role. Man on Fire. A lot of people I know my age remember this from the early 2000s with Denzel and Dakota Fanning. And then Days of Thunder. I have a whole review of this, but I'm a huge fan. Tom Cruise, Cole Trickle. And then I also have, this is a regular Blu-ray Steelbook. This is a 4K upgrade. Great 4K upgrade for Top Gun, Tom Cruise again. And now I'm going to bring out the Christmas collection. We all love Christmas, don't we? Well, I have plenty of Christmas movies for you. It's a Wonderful Life. I have the 4K. Great 4K black and white. I have the regular Blu-ray, which I had before. I have watched the color version. I know people get really offended about that, but I still think it's good. The Santa Claus, my first favorite Christmas movie. This came out in the mid-90s. I was a kid. I remember seeing this so much when I was a kid. Christmas Story, probably my wife's favorite. Everyone sees it on Christmas, but a good little Blu-ray. This is a 4K. I don't have it. Elf. Who doesn't love Will Ferrell and Elf? Home Alone. I have a Blu-ray, and then I have a 4K. Now the 4K is a Steelbook. It's a very good Steelbook. The Blu-ray is also very good. Actually, this is the regular, this is the 4K Steelbook. One of those was Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Yeah, that, Lost in New York. What am I doing, right? Office Christmas Party, not a bad Christmas. Gremlins, great Steelbook. 4K is pretty good. I like it a lot. The Blu-ray was good, though. So, you know, it's kind of weird, but, you know, I got Steelbook. I was hooked. I pre-ordered it. Didn't matter, I was getting it anyway. Die Hard. Bought this for like $3, I don't know, 10 years ago. But got the 4K when that came out for its anniversary. Love that one. The Family Man. Great movie. Doesn't get talked about enough. From the year 2000. I try and watch this every other year. It's a really good one. A movie I watch every year because I'm a sucker for Bill Murray. Scrooged. Love this. Also, check out the Danny Elfman score on this. A Christmas Vacation. Now this, me and my wife quote all the time. We love this movie. You know, shitter's full. You've probably seen me wear a Christmas Vacation shirt. I love Christmas Vacation. We quote it just non-stop. It's definitely a favorite around the old Keefe household. And then this isn't a Christmas movie, but it's a movie I watch every Thanksgiving. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Check this movie out if you haven't seen it. It's my favorite John Hughes movie by far. I'm not a huge John Hughes guy, but Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, that's the top 20 movie for me all time, so what do you know? These are my John Carpenter movies. So we get Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York, Escape from LA, which I have a review on this channel of as well. Prince of Darkness, good 4K. Doesn't get talked about enough, but a really good 4K. Good Donald Pleasance performance in there as well. They Live, I haven't watched this 4K, I just got it. It is actually very, very good. Halloween, this is a 4K that came out, I believe, from Lionsgate? Yeah, from Lionsgate. There's another one from Shout Factory that came out last year. I haven't checked it out to compare it. And then I have The Thing. It's Blu-ray and it's 4K upgrade. It's a very old Blu-ray. Blu-ray is pretty good. 4K is great. I heard some people giving mixed reviews, but I think it's really a good 4K. And I have Miller's Crossing in the Criterion section, but I got No Country for Old Men, The Big Lebowski 4K, my favorite Coen Brothers movie, Fargo. Miller's Crossing is the Blu-ray of that. And then their first movie, Blood Simple. I love this movie, actually. There's a Criterion of this I will probably pick up one day. But hey, Coen Brothers, they're amazing. I love them. Alright, so why don't we do a little animation. So, we get Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. The Lego Movie, it's pretty good. Nightmare Before Christmas, I try this movie every like few years. It's just not for me. Danny Elfman is great, but it's just not for me. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie, now that is a movie for me. Akira, I do want the 4K upgrade of this, but it's a very good movie. I've watched it a few times. My favorite anime ever. Ghost in the Shell from 1995. I have the Blu-ray and I have the 4K. Really good movie. If you haven't checked it out from 95, I love this movie. Spirited Away, a lot of people's favorite Studio Ghibli movie. I am inclined to agree. And then you also get the same director who directed Grave of the Fireflies, one of the saddest movie ever. Very good movie though. Wreck-It Ralph. Great steelbook, by the way. This is lifted, I don't know if you can tell. But this is a really good steelbook. Also, great movie. The sequel wasn't my favorite. The Lion King, now this is my favorite animated movie ever. This was one of my favorite childhood movies. I love The Lion King. This is not a 4K, but it is still the Blu-ray. The Beauty and the Beast, that's a good one as well. And that's gonna bring us to, these are all my Pixar movies. So we get my favorite Pixar movies right on top. That's Coco, if you can believe that. I can't believe it that it passed it. Inside Out from a few years ago, also very good. WALL-E, amazing movie. Ratatouille, I know that's a lot of people's favorite. The Incredibles and The Incredibles 2, these are both 4Ks. I have The Incredibles 2 on a steelbook. It's a good steelbook. These are both amazing 4Ks though. Finding Dory and Finding Nemo, these are great Blu-rays. Bug's Life, also a great Blu-ray. I don't have 4Ks. I think these all have 4Ks. And the only ones I have upgraded that I had are Toy Story. So, because I love Toy Story. So I have Toy Story 1, 2, and 3 on Blu-ray. But I have Toy Story 1, Toy Story 2, and Toy Story 3. I got their 4K steelbooks. I don't have Toy Story 4. I wish they would have ended with 3, but I do like 4. So these are my David Fincher movies. You get Fight Club. You got 7. 7 is great. Gone Girl and Zodiac. And then with my Planet of the Apes movies. So we get War of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. That's a trilogy. And then the Charlton Heston one from the 60s, I had to have it, because I think it's a very good movie. And then we just have a couple of randoms I just have sitting here. So you get Last of the Action Heroes, this is a great documentary. V for Vendetta. Looper, I did a review of that. Phantom Thread, that's a great one. And National Security. A couple mini collections. I got the John Wick 1 and 2 steelbook right here, this is great. And then John Wick 3. All of those are 4Ks. This is my Fast and Furious collection. So originally I had 1 through 6 on Blu-ray. Recently for Christmas my brother got me this. This is the 4K collection. I love it. And he also got me F9 because F9 isn't in this 4K collection. I assume they'll have one with it in it soon. Maybe wait until F10. Doesn't have Hobbs and Shaw, and I actually don't have Hobbs and Shaw, unfortunately. Now we got the 4K trilogy coming out soon, but I do have Godfather 1 and 2. I don't have 3. So these are my Michael Mann movies. Thief is one of them, but I have Heat. And then I have this new scan of Heat. Collateral. Great movie. Not a good 4K. I don't have it, but it is not great. And it's just because of the way it's shot. They used it very early handheld digital cameras from the early 2000s. It's just how they made movies. And then a very underrated William Peterson Michael Mann movie from the late 80s, Manhunter. Your first appearance, played by Brian Cox, of Hannibal Lecter. Before we had Silence of the Lambs, so definitely check that one out if you haven't seen it. And then we go to my Jurassic Park collection. So I have Jurassic Park, this was 3D when that was a thing. I have that Blu-ray. Then I have Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom. Haven't seen this yet. Really didn't like where the Jurassic Park series was going, but I gotta check it out before the new one. And then I have the first 4 in this 4K set. I know you guys have definitely seen this, but again, hardcover, great thing. It's like a flip book. Really a good collection here, for sure. Alright, and now just a couple specialty Blu-rays. I have Indiana Jones. I have the 4K Steelbook set. There's reviews out there. You see, this is just horrible packaging on the outside here. You can look up reviews of other people's, but the Steelbooks on the inside are really nice. I actually do dig the white, but the packaging that they put them in, you've seen Matt's Batman and Robin and you know, his Batman 80s collection. I wish they would have done that for this with the Steelbook, with the Steelbooks and the Steelbook, but they didn't. They cheaped out. That's very unfortunate. The Jason Bourne collection. I didn't start watching these until this year, so this is my first time ever seeing these. Again, that's what you're supposed to do. Put these hard things on the outside, and then you put the movies on the inside. So each of them individually in their own packaging. I love it when they do that. I'm a sucker for that. And then this from a couple years ago from the Scream Factory. You get all the Friday the 13th. This is one of my favorites. Look at this art. See, this is why I collect. It's for art like this. I had to have it because I do have another set of this. Not like Matt's, but this, had to have it. And then I know you guys have seen these Columbia Classic 4Ks. This is one of my favorites. These are amazing. All the 4Ks are incredible because Sony owns Columbia and it's their technology, so you know you're going to get some quality stuff. But this is amazing. And then you also have the Columbia Classics Volume 2. This one kind of has more of a matte. This has got like a glossy finish. You know, same thing. They just changed the color, which means I think we might get something in blue for Volume 3. I'm just speculating. I'm being hopeful. But again, just great packaging. Sinister. This is one of the most recent Ethan Hawke scary movies that we've had. I really love this. Black Phone that's coming out. Some people have seen it. Same director, so I'm have high hopes. And then this is Cursed Films. So this is a miniseries that was on Shudder that's really well done. I think you guys should definitely check that out. I bought it. It wasn't too much money. I have In Search of Darkness Part 1 and Part 2. Both of these are great. You know, these guys really put a lot of effort into making these 80s horror docs. They have a Part 3 coming out. In Search of Tomorrow, which is a sci-fi version of this, and FPS, first-person shoot. They put so much effort in. Definitely pick these up if you can. And then David Cronenberg's son made this movie called Possessor. I love this movie. It definitely grabbed this. Beautiful 4K. I have high hopes for Brian Cronenberg going forward now because of this. The Frighteners, great movie. Michael J. Fox. The Evil Dead remake from like 10 years ago now, I think. Awesome movie. The Sixth Sense. M. Night Shyamalan. Can't say a bad thing about this movie. It is fantastic. Candyman, another great movie. Probably my favorite horror movie ever. I think there's a 4K coming out. The sequel from the past year, also called Candyman, was my favorite movies last year. One of my favorites. The Crow. I don't know if that's a horror movie, but I would consider it. Brandon Lee, I'm sorry. Great movie. Sadly, what happened to him, but a great 90s movie. Very grungy. I love that. Another Arrow Video 4K, Tremors. This was the first time I ever saw this, was on this 4K. Great movie. I have a review out for Psycho Goreman, but this movie is perfect. I love it. It is one of the best movies from last year. If you haven't checked it out, check out a review, then pick it up. American Psycho 4K. Christian Bale might be his best performances in this. He did win an Academy Award for The Fighter, but check out American Psycho. Jaws. So confession time, I don't love Jaws. I try every couple of years to watch it again and see what I'm missing. It's a great made movie, but it's just not my favorite, especially not my favorite Steven Spielberg. And then we have Reanimator. I love Reanimator. It's a great movie that I discovered a couple of years ago. I know many people know about it, but great movie. Us. Jordan Peele's movie. We have a review out for Get Out. I have the 4K and the Blu-ray. I had to upgrade again. I would have wished if there was different box art, but you know, beggars will be choosers. That's how it goes. The Chucky collection. Great movies. Some are, you know, not that great. We could talk about Seed of Chucky, or in my opinion, Child's Play 3 is not that good of a movie. And this is that other Friday the 13th collection I have. These are not, they're not even all in here. These are only the first 8 movies because then they switched studios before Jason Goes to Hell. Freddy vs. Jason, another movie. I had this poster on my wall for so long. You know, just a great childhood movie for me. Doctor Sleep. Oculus, Ouija Orders of Evil. All these are by Mike Flanagan, who I believe is a horror genius. The Nightmare on Elm Street collection. I would love a new collection of this. I'm hoping that maybe we get that with Scream Factory soon, because it would be nice, because this is all we have right now as far as a total collection. Now, these came out last year. Speaking of the Scream Factory, I have Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, Halloween 4. I love Halloween Season of the Witch. I know a lot of people really don't. And then I also have a Halloween from 2018's 4K and the Halloween collection that came out like 5 or 6 years ago from Scream Factory. Great collection, by the way. We got Aliens, Alien, Pet Sematary, Hocus Pocus, because my wife loves that movie, by the way. Predator collection. I have a Predator 4K around here somewhere. What We Do in the Shadows, another great movie. The Lighthouse and The Witch, Robert Edgar's first 2 movies. I would have liked the Steelbook 4K of The Lighthouse. I think it's coming. The Northman's coming out this year, so keep an eye out for that. Color Out of Space. Same director as Mandy, and again starring Nicolas Cage. This is a good little movie from last year that I saw. The Fly, David Cronenberg again. Probably his most famous movie. I think Dead Ringers is my favorite of his. Prometheus. Not a huge fan, but alright. Alien 4K, I talked about this in a review also, great 4K. The Shining, I have that 4K Steelbook that I love. The Shining Blu-ray that I had before it. Saw, I just have the Blu-ray, I don't know why. Matt might have actually gave that to me because I do have the Saw collection. Then I have the Evil Dead and the Evil Dead 2 4K. I would like the Evil Dead 4K one of these days. And The Crazies. Good movie, nothing special really. Silence of the Lambs. I have just the Blu-ray. I told you guys I upgraded to the Criterion, so this is just a Blu-ray that I have. It is my original Edward Scissorhands Steelbook. This is not a 4K, just a Blu-ray, but it's a really good Blu-ray. I really like this movie. I like to watch around Halloween to Christmas. Scream 1 through 4. I need to get the Scream 5 4K. That's coming out around my birthday pretty soon. It, Chapter 1, 4K, great movie. I don't have It Chapter 2. I was not a big fan, but I am a big fan of the early 90s miniseries. You can just see the nostalgia bleeding through with Tim Curry. Happy Death Day. I would like a 4K this. I believe it exists, and I saw that there's a Happy Death Day to You 2 coming out this year in 4K, so that's always pretty cool. Beetlejuice. We got the 4K, which came out last year, and then the regular Blu-ray that I had before. Love that 4K, by the way. The Fog, another John Carpenter movie, which I gotta go put in my John Carpenter movies. I didn't even realize I had this lying around, but this is a good steelbook, actually. Very nice. Very, very nice. I love this one. Poltergeist. I hear there's a 4K coming out of this, but this is one of my favorite horror movies ever. It's not a Steven Spielberg movie, it's a Tobe Hooper movie, but it feels like a Steven Spielberg movie in every way. Very similar to E.T. Actually came out the same month as Blade Runner, The Thing, and E.T., and for all you Star Trek fans, also Wrath of Khan, June of 1982. My favorite movie of 2018 is Hereditary. Love this movie, and Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And then when I bought Terminator as my first Blu-ray, I also bought Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter, if you could believe that. I like little stupid horror movies like this. And hey, Midnight Meat Train, same thing. Jeepers Creepers. You know, these are little horror movies that I'm a big fan of. A Quiet Place Part 1, great. I don't have the 4K yet of Part 2. Jacob's Ladder. Now this is a good early 90s movie I don't hear anyone really talking about. You get a great performance from Tim Robbins and Danny Aiello in this. I really think it's a good movie. And then you get the Albert Hitchcock collection that came out last year that has Rear Window, Vertigo, Psycho, and The Birds. I have watched 3 of the 4 of these 4Ks. I haven't watched The Birds yet, but from what I can tell, just great transfers. We're gonna do some comedies. So we got Pineapple Express. MacGruber, one of my favorite comedies of all time. Nobody ever talks about this movie. I love MacGruber. Will Forte is amazing. Ted 1 and 2, another Mark Wahlberg movie. Office Space, good movie. I really love this movie. Great Stephen Root performance in there. Birdcage, Robin Williams, one of my favorite actors ever, one of my favorite childhood actors ever. Wedding Crashers, love Wedding Crashers. Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson, classic 2000s comedy. Dodgeball, same group of people. Liar Liar, I love Jim Carrey, you guys know that. We're going through the Jim Carrey. See here, you got Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, The Mask, and then of course, Dumb and Dumber Unrated. Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, and then we get some Will Ferrell movies, so we'll bang through a few of these. You got The Campaign, very underrated. The Other Guys, probably one of my favorite comedies of all time. I don't know why, I just quote this movie all the time, especially me and Matt. You know, we just quote this movie up and down. It's full of quotes, you know. I was gonna badmouth you to one of the cops out there, but my father always told me to say it to their face. Bob, this is a bad time. I'm a peacock, you gotta let me fly. It's just, I can go on and on. Step Brothers, 2008, great movie. Semi-Pro, it's alright, got some good scenes in there. Talladega Nights, what can I say, that's a classic. John C. Reilly is awesome in there. I like to picture my Jesus in a tuxedo t-shirt because it's formal, but it also says I like to party. Anchorman, what can I say, you know. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan today. And then you get Dave. That's a great early 90s Kevin Kline, Sigourney Weaver movie. Easy A. Emma Stone is one of my favorite actresses ever. Men in Black, Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Boy, one of our great comedians of all time. And Chris Farley, you know, it's just so sad that he passed away. I love Chris Farley. Friday, Ice Cube, what can I say? Legally Blonde 1 and 2. This is my wife's Blu-ray. She loves this. I bought it for her. She's a big fan. Parenthood, great movie. Young Keanu Reeves. And young, going by at the time, Leaf Phoenix, or Joaquin Phoenix. Pain and Gain. Michael Bay movie no one talks about. Mark Wahlberg, The Rock. Great movie, really funny. Jumanji. I saved this one because this is one of my favorite movies of all time. This is my favorite childhood movie. This is The Lion King. Robin Williams. When he passed away, it really killed me. And because of a movie like this, you know, you gotta roll a 6 or an 8. Alright, Midnight Run, probably my favorite road movie of all time. I love this movie. Robert De Niro as a comedian, this is where it really all started, and it's a good movie. Hot Tub Time Machine, that's a good one. 40-Year-Old Virgin, that's a classic from the early 2000s. Judd Apatow, that's really where you got it started. Coming to America, another movie I can quote all the time. Happy Gilmore, same thing. And My Cousin Vinny, that's a big one for me and my wife. We love My Cousin Vinny. Old School, we just watched this the other day. It still holds up. So funny. Groundhog Day, this is another one of my personal favorites. Big. Love Big. This was a big childhood movie for me too. I don't know if I was too young to see it, but I love Big. National Security, that's a great one. And my wife's favorite movie ever, Clueless. So I bought her this Blu-ray, this Steelbook, because I know how much she loves it, and she'll just still watch it on the HBO live stream because she hates me. Underrated comedy, Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping. This one is hysterical. Forgetting Sarah Marshall, that's another classic. Booksmart, I love Booksmart. This is a really funny movie. Super Troopers, a classic. The sequel, Kindergarten Cop, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Ivan Reitman. Where can you go wrong? They did Twins before this. I don't have that, but Shout Factory does make a Blu-ray. 21 and 22 Jump Street, these are some classics. I have The Hangover Part 2, but I don't have The Hangover 1. As you can see, I bought it in like a bargain bin or something like that, and it's still funny. Mrs. Doubtfire, Robin Williams again. He was just all over the 90s. This is 1993, I believe, but Ebenezer Doubtfire, my dear. This Is the End. I just watched this one pretty recently, too. Jonah Hill really kills in this movie. I can't really undersell that. Fletch. I love Fletch. Really just a great 80s movie. It's just one-liners, but they work so well. It's a shame Chevy Chase is such a dick. And Waiting. I saw this in the movies when it first came out. Like I said, a huge Ryan Reynolds fan, so I'm a sick puppy. And right off the bat, one of my most underrated movies ever, Frequency from 2000. I love this movie. I just love Dennis Quaid, Randy Quaid's brother, and father of Jack Quaid from The Boys and Scream 5. So if you guys know him, that's his dad. Country Music Blu-ray from PBS. This is great. 16 hours. If you're a fan, check it out. Watchmen, I have the Blu-ray series of this. There is a 4K. I think actually this might be a 4K now that I think about it. No, it's just a Blu-ray. This is the whole series that was on HBO. Lethal Weapon. This is the 4-movie set. I love this set. Straight Outta Compton, another one. Great movie. There's a 4K. I don't have it. Kingsman: The Secret Service is the only one I own. Good 4K though. Really good movie. The sequels, The Town, another good 4K. The 4K was out of commission for a while, but then they released this 4K on Steelbook from Best Buy. I love that. Independence Day. Now, there is a 4K of this, but this is a really good Blu-ray. So I would definitely recommend this Blu-ray if you have it. I don't think you need to upgrade. I haven't seen the 4K. Castaway. Great Tom Hanks movie. Ghost. One of my favorites. I love this movie. Patrick Swayze is awesome in it. Demi Moore. Just really good movie. I, Tonya. Good movie. If you guys are watching Pam and Tommy, we have a review for it. Same director. He made this movie first. Margot Robbie, this is her best performance, I think. And Sebastian Stan. This is where I knew Sebastian Stan can act. Forget the MCU. Watch I, Tonya. Citizen Kane, I have the 4K, but the Blu-ray was good. La La Land. Not a musical guy, but I love La La Land. Sneakers. Great Blu-ray. Great movie from the early 90s. My favorite Robert Redford performance, but there's so many. Sidney Poitier is in this. River Phoenix. Good movie. The Verdict. Speaking of, if you're a big fan of Robert Redford, his buddy, Paul Newman, The Verdict. I think this is my favorite Paul Newman movie. A Few Good Men. Tom Cruise again, and this time with a great Jack Nicholson performance thrown in there, and another good Demi Moore performance. Sneaky good Demi Moore. Basketball Diaries. Another underrated movie nobody talks about from the 90s, but I love it. It's one of my favorite Leo movies. Foxcatcher. I bought this movie because it was, nominated for Oscars and everything, and Steve Carell had a great performance in it. Movie was alright. I thought, I have the Blu-ray, but not a huge fan. The Austin Powers trilogy, come on, what can I say? Limitless! One of the first movies me and my wife saw, so it's kind of special, that's why I bought it, but, still a pretty good movie. Taken, my wife bought this for me once, great movie, the sequels, Spotlight, Best Picture winner, Michael Keaton, good movie, unbelievable story, heartbreaking. Fearless. Jeff Bridges. This is a movie that I feel like got lost to time because this movie is great. If you haven't seen Fearless, early 90s, I believe 93, check that one out. The Fault in Our Stars. Very sad movie, but I kind of like to cry sometimes, and this will do it. Edge of 17, another great movie. No one really ever talks about it again. It just kind of got lost in the shuffle, and that's a shame. Great coming-of-age movie. Face Off, come on. What are you gonna say? I want to take his face off. Nick Cage, man. John Travolta. I just love cheese like this, and what can I say? Mississippi Burning. Now, this is a great one, too. I definitely love Mississippi Burning. Good movie. Willem Dafoe is awesome in it. Backdraft. Another Ron Howard movie that I truly love with a great Kurt Russell performance thrown in. Good movie. I love Backdraft. It's actually my favorite Ron Howard movie. It's just a good movie. Good 4K, by the way. Another good 4K is District 9. Titanic. Had to have the Blu-ray. When I was a kid, it was 2 VHSs. I used to only watch the second VHS. I didn't really care for the lovemaking. LA Confidential. Should have beat Titanic, actually, that year at the Oscars. Way better movie. Harry Potter collection. Don't have the 4K collection. Bought this for my wife. She's a huge Harry Potter nut. I think the movies are pretty good. Moon. Very underrated movie. There is a 4K. I love this movie. Sam Rockwell should have won an Oscar for this movie, but he did end up winning it a few years later for 3 Billboards Out of Ebbing, Missouri. Well deserved. Blow. Great 90s movie. Johnny Depp is awesome. Road to Perdition, a Tom Hanks movie. This is actually directed by the same director who directed 1917 and Skyfall. White Men Can't Jump. Very good movie. I love this movie. I used to watch this a lot when I was a kid with my mom and my brother. The Wizard of Oz 4K. Great 4K. You wouldn't believe this movie came out in 1939. It's very special. I don't need to explain to you that. Bridge on the River Kwai. I never saw it till recently when I bought this 4K. Good 4K. Good movie. Shows its age, but it's still, for a movie when it came out, great. Smokey and the Bandit. Burt Reynolds, the late Burt Reynolds. Great 4K. Now, this 4K, you wouldn't believe how good this is. This looks like it was shot yesterday. This is a movie from the 70s. This came out the same year as Star Wars. So if you want to see what the world was like in 1977, check that one out. Braveheart, 1995, Best Picture winner, starring Mel Gibson. Good movie. Big Fish. Tim Burton movie, actually. Very underrated. I think this is up there with Ed Wood as some of his best work. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I told you guys how I'm a Jim Carrey freak. Well, I love this movie too. Charlie Kaufman wrote this. This is still a very good movie. I love this movie. Rush. So I bought this movie just because I was watching the Tears in Heaven video by Eric Clapton, and the song was made for this movie, and I thought the movie had something to do with the song. It has nothing. This is a drug movie. Sam Elliott's in it. These two play undercover cops. It's a really good movie, actually. Not what I thought I was buying, and this Blu-ray was not cheap, but it was very good. And Requiem for a Dream. This is a 4K, really nice looking 4K. You see a young Jared Leto in here. This is a very tough watch, but a very good movie. Apocalypse Now. This is a great 4K, and it runs really cheap, which is weird because there are so many different versions of this, and it's such a nice looking package, and they really transferred all the 4Ks. Amazing packaging. Francis Ford Coppola. Great movie. There's The Heart of Darkness Blu-ray is in here too, which is one of the most famous documentaries about making a movie ever. Definitely check this one out if you haven't seen that. Saving Private Ryan, another war movie. I'm not a big war movie fan like Apocalypse Now and Saving Private Ryan, the opening, Steven Spielberg. It's just unbelievable. The rest of the movie is really good too. Tom Hanks kills it again. I can't say enough. He's my favorite actor of all time. I don't know if I've ever said that, but 1998, definitely a great movie. So The Last Airbender and Magic Mike. These are two of my wife's movies. She loves these. They're in my collection though. The Last Airbender, M. Night Shyamalan, is considered one of his worst movies ever, but my wife really loves it, so, you know, it's in there. You know, I like to keep her happy. Sleepers. So Sleepers, another great movie. Kevin Bacon is amazing in this movie. But this was my first Kevin Bacon movie, and I saw it way too young, so I've always thought of Kevin Bacon as in this movie, and if you've seen this movie, Kevin Bacon plays a monster, so that's my opinion of Kevin Bacon. It's very weird that that's the first movie I saw him because I love Kevin Bacon, but that was always my first impression. Another movies that I used to watch a lot with my mom, Father of the Bride, Part 1 and Part 2. I still watch these every New Year's. I don't know why, but it's just some kind of sentimental value. I love these movies. Steve Martin is great. He plays America's dad, but believe it or not, I don't think he had his first kid until he was like 73. Training Day. What more can you say about it? Denzel finally won an Oscar for Best Actor. He did win a Best Supporting Actor for Glory, so people forget about that. The Nice Guys. This is a great movie. Good comedy. It came out a couple of years ago. Shane Black directed it. He also wrote Lethal Weapon and Predator, so definitely keep an eye out for this. He did Predators a couple years later with The Less Said, the Better. Or The Predator, rather. The Fugitive, one of my favorite movies, starring Tommy Lee Jones, who won an Academy Award, and my favorite Harrison Ford movie. Yep, I like this more than Indiana Jones, and I like this more than the Star Wars performances for Harrison Ford. This is my favorite Harrison Ford movie. Birdman. So this movie kind of gets forgotten. This was the Best Picture winner. Michael Keaton should have won Best Actor, but I truly love this movie. It's people kind of consider it like just because they have that whole filmed it in like one shot kind of deal, but I love this movie. Every time the Academy Awards come around, like they are right now, I always make sure to watch this because it has that Academy Award feel, but I love it. Wild at Heart. This is a great movie. This is another David Fincher movie. He wrote this, he directed this in between seasons of Twin Peaks. Point Break, Catherine Bigelow. Came out the week after Terminator 2. James Cameron and Catherine Bigelow were married at the time, so that's pretty interesting. If you actually look in the credits, James Cameron does get credit as an executive producer, I believe. Unbreakable 4K. Good 4K. Another great M. Night Shyamalan movie. Super 8. Never saw this until recently when this 4K came out. Good movie. Definitely can see where J.J. Abrams was inspired by Steven Spielberg. Pretty much making a Steven Spielberg movie, but a very, very good one. The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. This is a movie that really would just kill on 4K because the cinematography in this movie is phenomenal. And Brad Pitt, always good. Speaking of westerns, though, Tombstone, 1993's Tombstone. Val Kilmer and Kurt Russell have some iconic performances in this, and it still holds up. It's not the best western. It's more of like a 90s western, if you know what I'm talking about. It feels like the 90s in there. But it's still really good. And one of my favorite movies ever, Chinatown. This is a great Steelbook. I can't wait till we get a 4K of this because this movie has some great cinematography, even from the 70s. I love this movie. I can't say enough. It's one of my favorite ever. I'll eventually do a full review. Almost Famous from 2000, I want to say. This is a great movie. I love it. I've seen it twice, I think, over the last year. I really do love this movie. It's a very, very, very good 4K. Also, I believe you could just buy the standard, but I opted for the Steelbook. The Day After Tomorrow. That's a good little movie. I remember seeing that as a kid in the movies. Very good movie. The Martian. There is a 4K I wish I had, but, Ridley Scott directed this. This was kind of a return to form for him, but it's also a very good movie. Prisoners. Denis Villeneuve. This is kind of like his forgotten movie. He doesn't even have a 4K release. This is the only release. For all you Batman fans, Paul Dano has a great performance in that. Check that out. And I just bought this, guys. This is my favorite movie of 2021. I was thinking about making a video of it, but I don't know if anyone will watch it because this movie doesn't even have reviews on Best Buy. It's just so forgotten. It just got lost in the shuffle. And, Winston Duke, Zazie Beetz, Benedict Wong, Bill Skarsgård. It's so good. It's a stacked cast, and it just got lost. And it was my favorite movie of last year. And it's really, really sad that it did. Snatch, great 4K. I never saw it till recently. Guy Ritchie's known for the Sherlock Holmes movies, but this is where he really got put on the map. It's a great movie. Touch of Evil 4K. I just reviewed this, so you can check that out, but it's in my collection. Me and my wife will eventually review this because we love The Wizard of Oz. We're going to do it together. It's a great 4K, and Uncle Joe's an asshole. Juice, I reviewed this on the channel too. Great 4K, great Steelbook. Air Force One, Get Off My Plane. Catch Me If You Can, another Spielberg classic from 2002 starring Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio. A 70s classic we got here in Dog Day Afternoon. I love this movie. Another Spielberg forgotten movie, Bridge of Spies again, starring Tom Hanks, that came out. Mark Rylance won an Academy Award for this movie. Beat Sylvester Stallone, rubbed people the wrong way. Good movie though. I got my Pirates of the Caribbean collection. Again, this is from a European, if you can see down here, it's definitely a European released one, not American. And I know we have a 4K of this, and I heard it's really bad for the original, but I got all the first 4 in this collection. And the greatest biography film of all time, directed by Spike Lee, Malcolm X. This is another one I would love a 4K, but This is really a nice package, and I do love it. You know, it's got that like book thing, kind of like Ghostbusters, which actually I have right next to each other. This is my Ghostbusters. I don't have 4K, so 1 and 2, but yeah, I really do like it when they do this, make it look like a book. It looks cool on a bookshelf. American History X, very violent, great Edward Norton movie. Edward Furlong always pops up. I'm always happy to see that. Steve Jobs, this is another one of those movies that I feel like got lost in the shuffle that year. It should have won an Academy Award for Michael Fassbender. I love him in this movie. He is amazing. Flight, another underrated movie by Denzel Washington, or from Denzel Washington. Actually directed by the guy who directed Back to the Future and Forrest Gump. So he really loves special effects. I'm sure you guys have seen plenty of his movies. Robert Zemeckis. The Lincoln Lawyer. When I first saw this movie, I was blown away. It's kind of gotten worse in subsequent viewings, but Matthew McConaughey during the reconnaissance, this is where it really began. House. Roadhouse. Great movie. What can I say? I'm a huge fan. This movie I thought was going to be better. I bought it. American Hustle, it's alright. You know, the Academy Award nominations, I don't know, undeserving. I got the Blu-ray for the Grand Budapest Hotel before the 4K, before the Criterion came out. Underrated sci-fi movie here in time. Truly do love this movie. Predator 4K, I have all the Predators on Blu-ray, but the 4K is nice to have. Triple H, I bought this Blu-ray. I used to have a lot more wrestling Blu-rays, but I did buy this one, and I've held on to it. I don't know why. I got to really upgrade my Blu-ray section on wrestling Blu-rays. I used to have a lot more. Matt has way more than me. Master and Commander on the Far Side of the World. Another movie that got lost in the shuffle that year, but is a very good movie. I'm sure you've heard many people say how good it is. Check it out if you can. Drive, Ryan Gosling. This is a very good movie too. There's been rumors of a 4K coming, and I look forward to it. The movie that put Michael Bay on the map. Now you can say Bad Boys, but I always say The Rock. This is a great movie that would really kill with a 4K. Nick Cage is awesome in it. I love this movie. Network. What can you say about Network? One of the most famous movies from the 70s. Really a good watch. Definitely holds up. Now, I have the Blu-ray of Back to the Future. That's only because I don't have the 4Ks, because I only really like the first Back to the Future, and I don't run back to even watch that, as if you can believe it, but it's still very good. So source code from the same director of Moon, actually Duncan Jones, he is David Bowie's son, and he did this and Moon, and they're really good. He also did the Warcraft movie, but the less said about that, the better. Schindler's List, another really tough watch. Came out the same year as Jurassic Park from Steven Spielberg, and this is the Best Picture winner. It's probably the better movie. It's not my favorite movie, but it is a very special movie. Shot amazingly, too. Really good 4K. If you haven't seen it. Rambo, First Blood. Now, this is a 4K I wanted to talk about because nobody talks about this 4K, but this is a reference quality 4K. Sound not the best, I'm not going to lie to you, but the 4K itself, visually, check this one out. And speaking, if you want to go audio, Sicario, Denis Villeneuve. This is climbing up my Denis Villeneuve rankings. I might like this movie more than I like Blade Runner 2049 or Dune or Prisoners. I really love this. Visually and audio, stunning. Emily Blunt is so good in this. This is my favorite Emily Blunt movie. Shape of Water. I bought this 4K as soon as it came out, and I still haven't watched it. I saw this movie in the movies. I loved it at the time, but I don't know why I haven't run back to it. I really should, because I truly do like this movie. Steven Spielberg, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, came out after Jaws. I like this more than Jaws. This is probably my second or third favorite Spielberg movie. Starship Troopers. Now, if you're a fan of RoboCop, you're going to be a fan of Starship Troopers. Trust me, same kind of vein, same kind of tone, you know, it kind of goes over people's head, but it's great. Field of Dreams. People love Field of Dreams, and I'm no different. It's probably the best baseball movie of all time. Great Kevin Costner performance. I love this movie. Freaking, what's this called? It's got a magical feel to it. It really does. It touches you. Who doesn't want to have a catch with their dad? Dracula. Bram Stoker's Dracula, another Francis Ford Coppola movie. This came out before the Robin Williams movie Jack, so he was kind of still on that trajectory. But this is a good one. Good Gary Oldman performance. Bad Keanu Reeves performance. The Hunt for Red October. This is a good movie. Same director as Predator and Die Hard, John McTiernan. Really good movie. A great steelbook. I had the spring for it. I love it. And then last but not least in my collection, and I'm sorry guys, but Unforgiven, my favorite Western of all time, came out the same year I was born, 1992. Directed and starring Hey, Mr. Clint Eastwood. I love this movie. It is by far the best Western for me. Cinematography is great. My first 4K also, so this is kind of special, and I love this movie. Now we're down to the final few. We got All the President's Men. You know, I had to see it. A 70s classic. Not my favorite. Con Air. I used to get made fun of in high school because this was my favorite. This was in my top 10 all time for a long time. I hadn't seen that many movies. That was like in 10th grade. But I still love Con Air. Put the Bunny in the Box. New Jack City. This is a great movie. Great Wesley Snipes performance. I love this movie. Ice-T really popped off. Good Chris Rock performance in here too. Underworld. I have not seen this in many years. Matt just gave me the Blu-ray. Boiler Room. I always have kind of a special connection. This happened on Long Island. I live on Long Island. I actually had a teacher who said he worked for this company. So this is a really good movie too. The Room. Had to buy it to show my wife because she couldn't believe that this movie existed. And, you know, we had to see the James Franco movie a couple years ago. But great movie. And then finally, I talked about this earlier, James L. Brooks, Terms of Endearment. One of my go-to crime movies. It's either this or My Life, starring Michael Keaton. But this movie will always, tug at my heartstrings. Get my daughter the shot! Alright. So guys, that's all my Blu-rays. Thank you guys for joining me here today. I wanted to show you my whole collection. I'll probably take a picture of the wall, put it in the video, or I don't know. But anyway, guys, thanks for joining me, and thanks for joining me here on Let's Talk, as always. And make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends.